We've been completely nonviolent, and they've consistently threatened us with riot police, with guns, with calling in the National Guard. Again, these are things that have resulted in the death of students in very analogous situations in the past, and they're using it against us. The university in negotiations.
How many student?
Sorry, I need one at a time.
Thank you. How many student demonstrators have been suspended so far or not allowed on campus, and how does this change activism among the encampment and demonstrators?
I don't have the exact numbers right now. I know that it's, if you're asking about like the more recent round of suspensions, I believe it is somewhere around 20 or higher, but don't, despite saying it in front of mics, don't quote me on that. That's my best information right now. We'll try to get you that information as soon as we can. I'm sorry, what was the second half of your question?
How does this affect the demonstrations, activism? You have students that are now off campus, not allowed on.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's hard to say for certain because this is an autonomous action and everybody is, acting kind of to the best of their abilities, but we are not in close coordination at all. But that said, from the conversations I've had with other students, the students stand behind the takeover of Hind Hall completely. We saw that in terms of the mass support that came out last night. Students are very motivated to continue to stand behind Quad's 3 demands for divestment, financial transparency, and amnesty. And Colombia has repeatedly shown that it thinks that it can repress people with different political opinions through crackdowns, whether that's through a lockdown, through the threat of violence at the hands of soldiers and militarized police, and time and time again, not only Colombia but campuses across the country has backfired. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens again.
Was there a vote taken last night at the encampment, for the autonomous group to go in, and how many people would you estimate are in the autonomous group?
I have no information on that.
So there was no vote last night at the encampment?
I am not privy to any information of a vote. I have no further information.
Okay, and then what about, are we going to hear directly from the people in the encampment, and how many people would you estimate? Not in the encampment. Are we going to hear directly from the people in Hind Hall, and how many people would you estimate that are there?
I believe it is somewhere around 60 inside, but I'm not totally certain. Again, I cannot stress enough, I don't represent them. I'm here as a member of Quad because our organizing has made it possible to, try to collect updates to the best of our ability, but it's fundamentally limited. And in terms of whether you hear from them, I think that's up to them and up to the university.
We spoke to Mahmoud, and he, so you've lost him as a negotiator. He said he doesn't actually know why he's been suspended at all, because he had an agreement with the university that he could go back and forth in the encampment. Yeah. There's another negotiator, I understand, who you've lost. So I'm curious to know, how are you going to get your demands met? Because that suggests that the talks with the university have completely fallen, that they're just not listening to you guys anymore.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is something that's in the university's control. I think anybody who saw their severe overreaction to peaceful protesters on April 17th, where hundreds of us, over 100 of us, were arrested, knows that Colombia is not using any kind of reasonable judgment right now that members of the public, members of the community would share. And so I think they've similarly failed to exercise reasonable judgment in terms of like how they conduct themselves to ensure that negotiations can continue in a safe way.
But can
well, that's what I'm saying. They're unable to continue safely right now. And so we would love nothing more than, open, transparent negotiations. But Colombia has not made that possible, and it's squarely their responsibility.
Will you continue protesting? I mean, I assume it's not over for you, for the protesting.
The movement will certainly continue, yes. I don't think we have any plans of stopping anytime soon, but in terms of how negotiations will resume, I think that is largely in the hands of the university. It's up to them to commit to not threatening us with food insecurity, evictions, and soldiers and militarized police. That would be a great first step.
Why should the university be obligated to provide food to people who've taken over a building?
Well, first of all, we're saying that they're obligated to provide food to students who pay for a meal plan here.
But you mentioned that there was a request that food and water be brought in, unless I misunderstood.
To allow it to be brought in. I mean, well, I guess it's ultimately a question of what kind of community and obligation Colombia feels it has to its students. Do you want students to die of dehydration and starvation or get severely ill, even if they disagree with you? If the answer is no, then you should allow basic, I mean, it's crazy to say because we're on an Ivy League campus, but this is like basic humanitarian aid we're asking for. Like, could people please have a glass of water?
But they did put themselves in that very deliberately, in that situation and in that position. So it seems like you're sort of saying, we want to be revolutionaries, we want to take over this building, now would you please bring us food and water? And
nobody's asking them to bring anything. We're asking them to not violently stop us from bringing in basic humanitarian aid.
They're stopping the delivery of food?
We are looking for a commitment from them that they will not stop it
but
violently.
They haven't stopped it yet.
I don't know to what extent it has been attempted, but we're looking for a commitment.
And the Grubhub, you mentioned the Grubhub, is that as a bribe? Is that for sort of students who leave campus, or what is kind of the
yes.
quid pro quo, or do you know how that works?
I also asked about that because I am not on a meal plan and don't know how the Grubhub thing works. So what I was told is that Columbia, through the dining hall program, has a partnership with Grubhub that allows them to allow students to leave campus to go pick up food, and so Columbia's giving students $80 through that program, and students so far who are in dorms can leave and come back, but they're the only people basically who can leave and come back.
What are Quad's next steps, and could any of this impact graduation? Are there any plans to demonstrate at graduation or anything like that you know of?
I don't have any information one way or the other about graduation plans. I think that it's really bizarre to us and perhaps to members of the public to see so much concern over graduation when we're in the middle of a genocide. I think you have to
Hair removing cream में no compromise. Presenting You Naturals hair removing cream. अब natural extracts के साथ. You Naturals. No bad smell, no skin darkening, no irritation. By smooth, moisturizing, glowing skin. Naturally. You Naturals hair removing cream. अब रहे beautiful naturally.
Our mission is to help students in our region and our state become successful.
We're really proud.
I don't have that information, I'm sorry.
Are there still students in the encampment?
Yes, as far as I know, there are students both in the encampment at the West Lawn and a new encampment that sprung up, I believe on Lewison Lawn, which is another lawn last night. I haven't been able to personally verify it because I'm not allowed inside, but that's the information I have.
There's 3 quote-unquote encampments, one on the main lawn, one on the Lewison lawn, and now one at Hind Hall.
If you want to, I don't know that I would characterize that as an encampment, but yeah, 3 sites of protest, maybe we could say, yeah.
Can you give us a sense of what sort of organisation and planning went into last night?
No, I can't.
And what sort of coordination is between your group and the protesters inside?
I don't have sufficient information to share that right now.
Are you all 3 suspended?
I'm suspended. I don't know about the other people here. We're not all 3 suspended. I am. I am one of the students who was arrested and suspended for peaceful protest on April 18th.
Do you think talks are still going on?
They're not. No, they're not. I mean, the university has suspended and banned from campus one of its 2 negotiators.
Can you talk about the people that are participating in those various actions and their comfort with potentially being expelled as a result of this? What's your sense from the people's varying level of risk?
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't represent those students and I'm not inside, so I can't speak to their state of mind right now, but from everything I know from speaking with student protesters on campus, we have all undertaken risk to our safety, our careers, our education, knowing that it shouldn't be that way and it doesn't have to be that way, but it is that way because of Columbia's violence against us and retaliation against us, and occasionally members of the public's retaliation against us. That's risk that we're motivated to take on because this is, it's been over 200 days of genocide, and bodies are being recovered in mass graves in hospitals with their hands behind their back. execution style or while wearing surgical gowns. Like, this is something that we feel responsible for, since our tuition and labor is, fueling that. And we are willing to take on an extremely minor amount of risk compared to what the heroic people of Gaza are dealing with every single day. I can take one final question, and then I think we should end this.
What kind of support are you getting from the Harlem community?
The Harlem community, I think there are kind of two parts of this question. The first is that it's really our obligation as Columbia students to support Harlem, and not Harlem's obligation to support Columbia. We are on stolen land from indigenous people and the land of people who were displaced from Harlem. The 1968 protests that resulted in an occupation of what was formerly Hamilton Hall partly revolved around where we are right now, which is Morningside Park, where Columbia attempted to build a segregated gym that would segregate the wealthy white people from Morningside Heights, where we are now, from Harlem land. And that was one of the sites of contest and reasons for protest in 1968. And that continues to be an object of concern to us now, is that as a white person at Columbia University, an Ivy League college, I benefit every single day from Columbia's displacement of the people of Harlem. I've been here a long time, and I've seen the way that Columbia has pushed out predominantly Black and Hispanic people from the neighborhood here. Often, anyway, don't get me started. I'm passionate about it. I'm upset. So our obligation is to support Harlem, not for Harlem to support us. But that said, none of this is possible without the support of the community in New York, in Harlem, across the world. This is an international movement, and it is also a coalitional movement that has involved many people from neighborhoods like Harlem, because we recognize that we have a shared fight. And when we say things like "from the river to the sea" or "open the gates," it's in recognition of the shared fight that unites people at Columbia University, the people in Palestine, and people in Harlem. That's it. Thank you.
Could you restate your name?
I'm not sharing my name. Thank you.
Oh, how should we refer to you? Is there like a known?
I'm a student at Columbia.
Grad student or undergrad?
I'm a graduate student here.
What are your pronouns?
She, her.
And your age? Major?
I'm not sharing that any more information for my safety. Thank you.
Knicks? Nets?
You can come up here and tell us what you think about this about the sports. I'm, as you can tell, completely not sport inclined.
Okay, that's something.
Sports ball. All right. Good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Amazing that they asked us to respect the property. The irony is amazing. Oh, here they come. Who's coming? No, I thought they were coming over here.